Hey everyone, Luke here. Now, before I get into the review, I've just got some very exciting news to say. That show that I went for last week, that dramatic show, where we're talking about doing various sketches for a big show which is going to be 2 hours long. One of the sketches that I put forward got accepted, and I will be directing it. So really excited about that. Finally getting into some like tangible acting. Not saying that the youth group that I do isn't tangible acting. It's just like doing it with adults basically. So getting back into that and directing it as well. So that's a big responsibility for me. So tonight and on Wednesday, I'll be doing auditions for it, and also I'll be auditioning for other sketches myself, so I'm going to be extremely busy. I'll still be able to do the reviews and also the What's the Difference adaptations. Also, quick notice that, like I said when I did the first What's the Difference adaptation, it's going to be, after this it's going to be We Never Learn and then Dr. Stone, and then after that, who knows? I only picked these three because they're like my big three that I'm currently reading at the moment. I'll probably have to find something else that something else that I'm reading at the moment. And when that gets anime, I'll be sure to talk about that. I mean, I might do like What's the Difference with Kimetsu no Yaiba, which for those of you guys who don't know, is another shonen series, a weekly shonen jump that's about killing demons, but it's more action oriented because it's set in feudal Japan, so it's a lot more different from the Promised Neverland. I mean, they still have the same basic concept of like fighting demons, but they do it in completely different ways. And if you haven't read Kimetsu no Yaiba, go and read it. I feel people were saying like, oh, it's extremely underrated, so I thought like, what the heck, I'll try it out. And sure enough, I was immediately hooked to it. I like the art style, I like the characters, like especially like the main character and his sister, and yeah, that's what I want to say about that. But for now, let's get into the review, because I'm sure people like I mentioned in the last review, people are wondering what my thoughts are on this chapter. Now, before I get into the actual review itself, my neighbours are doing some like work in their house, so if you hear any like banging or anything, that's them. There's nothing I can do about that, so I apologise, you guys. But anyway, this will be The Promised Neverland chapter 122, titled True Feelings. Obviously, this is a reference to what I was mentioning in the last chapter, where Emma was kind of like being pushed into that decision by everybody else, by saying that everybody else is happy with the decision, so I have to be happy with the decision. But of course, this chapter relays what her actual true feelings on the situation are. So we start off with the title page, which is Norman in his robe guards standing at a door, and the caption says the door to a new world beyond the Neverland now, and it's like blanked out. So whether this means that he's going to be meeting with Peter Atari, we'll just have to wait and see. Because remember, even though they are enemies, they kind of like formed an alliance when Norman agreed to help him with his with his research. So maybe that's the reason, like he's going to a meeting with Atari and the demons themselves to kind of come to kind of like have a meeting and basically declare war on them. So the chapter starts off a little bit after the last chapter, where Emma is now asleep in her bed, and she wakes up and she's realised that she's overslept, so she's like rushing everywhere and panicking. Basically, in her mind, she's still in that mindset like they're still out in the outside world, so she has to be the one that's wide awake, making sure that everybody is taken care of, they have all their things and they're really happy and they're safe and calm and everything. But because now they're in Norman's territory, she doesn't have to worry about that as much, but she kind of feels in her heart and in her mind that she still has to worry about that. So she's rushing around and she goes, sorry, I overslept, and it says that it's the first time ever she overslept. So again, this is probably a new experience for her, like, and she probably doesn't know how to handle this because she's so used to being in a routine. Like when she was back at Gracefield House, she used to be in the routine of waking up, having breakfast, doing the test, playing, having dinner, and then going to bed. So she was kind of in that routine, and she never lost a beat of that. And again, she's very athletic. She's very on the ball with that. So she's probably like, okay, I've got this timing. I've got to do it at this precise time. But the fact that she's been so on her feet and she's been rushing for the past several days, and now that she's had to oversleep, it kind of like takes her out of her groove a little bit, and I don't think she knows how to really process that situation as well. And it goes on to see that everybody else is up before her, and she's looking really confused about all of this. And someone goes up to say, at least you were able to wake up on time, right, Oliver? And Oliver just laughs it off and says, for once we didn't have to worry about everything. And Emma's like, it would have been okay if you woke me up, showing again that she's still in that mindset of like, I am the big sister here. I don't care. You should have woke me up because we're supposed to be a team here. So I should be in on the loop with everything else here. And the fact that now that they're not travelling anymore, they don't really need Emma to be a leader. I feel like that's kind of upset her deep down inside, but she's holding it back for the sake of everyone else. Oliver goes on to say that, but everyone looked so comfortable while they were sleeping, and again Oliver is still taking on that role of being the big brother figure to everyone, and he's like, oh, they're all sleeping so peacefully, maybe I shouldn't disturb them, and that includes Emma, because again, Emma treats Oliver and she treats everyone around her like they're one big family, but she feels like she has to be at the centre of everything. And for someone like that who feels like they have to be the centre of everything, to have someone else take control and take command, it kind of like makes them feel upset inside. Like, am I not worthy? Am I not important to you guys to be the big sister, big mother figure that you guys need? And she even looks really disheartened about this as well in the panel, before going on to saying, being so at ease we can really sleep and wake without any worry for the first time in a while, before going on to say, nevertheless I feel too rested, I don't even remember sleeping in a bed. And Ray informs her that Sack carried her to a bed, and we get a flashback of Sack getting ready. I don't know what he's getting ready to do. It looks like he's holding his arm. That might be from one of the was it? Did Sack get hurt by Andrew? I'm just asking this because it feels like from what he's doing here, it seems from holding his hand here, it seems like he's getting ready to like brace it for what's about to happen, or I don't know, or it might be that he might be actually going to pick up Ray and Emma at the same time, because Ray and Emma are still there. The only one that's not there at this moment in time is Norman, and we'll get into that in a second. But it might be that he's preparing his arms because it might be too heavy for him. Before they go on to say, before Emma goes on to thank him, and he's like, oh, don't worry about it. And she asks, what about Norman? And Ray goes on to say, by that time he wasn't there anymore. And again it's like, not Norman, even though he wants to spend more time with them, it's like he has more responsibilities now, so he has to put the responsibilities of everyone around him in regard, not just the Gracefield house kids. It's sort of like even though I wasn't really a big fan of it, I did kind of like skim through it from time to time. I know the basic concept of it, but Naruto, the ending of Naruto, it was sort of like when Naruto became Hokage and his son was striving for his father's attention, and Naruto was like to his son saying like, look, I know you want to spend more time with me, but I have a responsibility to everyone in this village right now. It's sort of like the same thing here with Norman. Like, Norman may want to spend more time with them, but the fact that he has more responsibilities for everyone around them means that he can't necessarily spend more time with them that he probably wants to. And again, that might come into play later on, especially with Ray's expression, how he's like, it's like saying it, but he's like in thought about certain things, and the fact that they're supposed to be a team, like Emma, Ray, and Norman, they were supposed to be a team, and he's kind of like being his own thing at this moment in time. I feel like that's kind of not just being an issue for Emma, but being an issue for Ray, how they're not really like discussing things tactfully together as a team, like what they did in Gracefield House. It's sort of like Norman's just like taking command and being like, no, this is my idea, we're doing this, and we're doing this my way. And rather than getting the opinions on them, it's he's like thinking like, I'm the boss. I need this is my decision, and I've got to stick through it. Rather than using them two as sort of like his confidants, like what was happening in Gracefield House, like how all three of them were kind of like each other's consciences. But the fact that they've grown and matured over the past 2 years, it's kind of like are they actually going to work as a team, or is something going to happen that's going to define them? And we'll get into that once we get into the rest of the chapter. So we cut over to Norman in his office where he's like making some notes and everything, and the big black guy with the bald head that was part of that adult group that went with Norman to raid that compound. Now I don't know whether he is an adult. He might be an adult. He might be 18, so he might be an adult. And now I know that's kind of like, well, 18 is an adult. In England, that's an adult age. So that's why I pretty much love Yusei from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, because he's an adult at the start of the series. He's 18. He's the only adult protagonist of Yu-Gi-Oh! And therefore he's like much more mature, and he doesn't do a lot more stupid things like other protagonists do. But anyway, that was just a side note, tangent. But anyway, yeah, the big guy, the big black bald guy, yeah, we finally find out what his name is, and his name is Vincent. And again, what I love a lot about this series is the fact that they have really simple to pronounce names. They don't have long over complicated names like Ariel. The Ninth of Sparta from Bleach, you know who I'm talking about, the one with the dome on his head, or Grimjaw Jack, or Yukiura Shiv, like, or they don't have names like that. They just have really mundane, easy to pronounce, easy to remember names, and that's what I love about them. Even though you might not remember which name which character goes to, you still remember things about them. Like last chapter where I was trying to distinguish Sonia and Paula. Paula's the name of the girl with the bandana, and even though I could remember her, I couldn't remember her name. But I did remember something distinct about them. And again, they have unique, distinctive features that make them stand out from everyone. Every character has that, not just like Paula or Sonia, but like Emma, Ray, and Norman have things that distinctly make them unique from each other, that you can easily tell them apart. But anyway, we find out that the big black guy, his name's Vincent, and he's meeting with Norman, and he's saying, "Did you enjoy meeting them again?" And he said, and Norman goes, "Well, yes, thanks to you. Christy and Dominic's conditions have stabilized. You have my thanks." And again, I'm getting like some Pepe vibes from Vincent. Like they might actually be related. I'm not just doing that as sort of like, oh, they're both black, so therefore they must be related thing. No. They look too similar. Pepe and Vincent look too similar to not be related in some capacity. I mean, I might be going off on a tangent and being completely wrong here, but I'm just getting like those vibes from both of them, how they're more they're both much more responsible people out their respective groups. But anyway, moving on, Vincent goes on to say how boring. Are you the usual boss now? It's as if you were a different person yesterday. Yet you caused quite the uproar. I saw it, you know, and again, and I don't know what Vincent's actually implying here, Norman is supposed to be like the stern, uptight, severe, and he might. Again, this is going back to Norman's shady nature in this chapter. Like we don't know exactly what his intentions are here, and for Vincent to say that Norman was boring when he was actually hanging out with the people that he used to live with and used to hang around with, and saying like you were a completely different person yesterday, you caused quite the uproar. And for Vincent to actually not care about the Gracefield, like from this he gives off the impression that he doesn't actually care about the Gracefield kids, and it's just like, as long as we complete the mission, I'm willing to sacrifice anyone. I'm getting those vibes from Vincent that he finds Norman when he's actually hanging out with the Gracefield kids boring, but when he's like the stern, cold, like leader that's supposed to be very serious, not very much jokey. That's kind of like the person he's used to, and again that might play a part later, or it might just be like the fact that they've just because Vincent and Norman have this like kind of like business relationship going on. He might find family relationships in the same way that Hugo found family relationships when he was in that shelter by himself for 13 years. And by the way, at some point I'm gonna do another video on Hugo and Lucas now that we know everything about them and just how tragic their story actually was. But anyway, besides that, I don't know what Vincent is actually implying here, but it kind of like gives me the feeling that he's not used to seeing Norman in this way, in the same way that you're probably not used to seeing a boss in this way. A boss like you're like really nervous around, and you're like, oh my god, what we best not say anything in case they throw a hissy fit. And when their family comes in and they're just like really playful, it's kind of like what? It might seem pleasant to them, but to you it might be like, how boring, like this is not interesting, even though they're like, because for you might be in that position like, oh, you're on the edge, but it's like really exciting for you, and to see them in that position, it kind of like changes your perspective on them, and it's like, you don't know how to think about this. And Vincent kind of like sees that with Norman, but I don't know whether this moment is actually going to play an important part later on, but we'll just have to wait and see. Norman tells Vincent to don't mock him, and enough with the idle talk, and there's a change of plans. And again, Norman's showing like completely different sides to him, like showing just how much stern and serious he is at this point, from where he was at the last chapter, showing that he does have shady natures. There might be something shady going on with him. Like I said at the beginning of the review, he might actually be going to meet with Peter Atari, and we'll get into that when we get to the moment. He might be going to meet with Peter Atari to declare war on the demons themselves. Sort of like, again, going back to speech, sort of like when in the last arc when the Thunderwake appeared and were like in front of Yamamoto and they're like, we're here to declare war on you. It's sort of like that, or it could possibly be related to Isabella, because a lot of people are saying that it might be related to Isabella. But again, we don't know, so it could be meaning anything. He goes on to say, have you heard Hayato's report? And Vincent goes on to say, we invaded a mass plant production along the way. The security has been forfeited now that our invasion has been exposed. And what's more, they saw a real human there. Concurrently, the survival of the Gracefield escape has been made known to the public. This is obviously a reference to when Anna, Ray, Hattori, and Emma went to that plantation to get the medicine, and they just got exposed that the demons actually saw them, and they actually had security cameras that can actually prove that they actually saw them. But again, this might actually play a part later on. We don't know at this point, but we'll just have to wait and see. But Vincent goes on to say, isn't that bad? And Norman goes, no. However, I want to come up with a countermeasure before the enemy does. Let's proceed with the plan ahead of schedule. Now again, we don't know what Norman's actual full plan is. Yes, he wants to exterminate all the demons quickly and efficiently, but we don't know like the true nature of his plan. He says that he wants to do it without sacrificing kids, but again, what way is that actually going to come into play? We'll just have to wait and see. Norman goes on to say, I need to hurry. There's good reason too. This revelation needs to be a victory without shedding any blood. I won't let any cattle children or my friends spill blood anymore. So again, Norman is doing this for the sake of everyone, like the fact that he doesn't want them to spill any blood, but he doesn't want them to be eaten as well. But at the same time, as we'll see later in the chapter, this contrasts Emma's own perspective. She wants to end this. at this moment peacefully without a war breaking out. And if Norman goes ahead with his plan, there is a war that's going to break out, and it might lead to a lot of deaths. And again, Norman, his brain might be smarter at this point, but he's not thinking about the logical side of what could actually happen if he actually started declaring war on the demons, if that's his ultimate plan. And Emma sees it a different way. She just wants to end it peacefully. Now, I said this to people on Discord, that I'm getting like some Avatar Aang vibes from Emma, and a lot of people like thinking like, oh, there'll probably be a Deus Ex Machina to get out of this. I don't think that. I think there'll be something even more clever, because if you remember the ending of the original Avatar Last Airbender series, Aang was like in debate with himself about whether or not he should kill the Fire Lord. And again, this is the same thing with Emma. She's like in debate of whether or not it's actually morally right to kill the demons that have actually evolved to become their own species and their own living beings that have personalities, that have feelings, that can laugh, that can joke with everyone. And we'll get into this more when we get into the moment that Emma actually brings it up. But again, this is kind of like that moment. This is kind of like that moment that Emma doesn't know what to do, and Norman's just going ahead with the plan and just being like, revolution, we don't want to spill any more blood from humans, but there are going to be blood spilled, seeing as how your revolution is known to the public now, and there is going to be a war that's going to break out, Norman, and you have to be really careful with this. As Norman hands Vincent a letter that he was sealing, he says to him, give this letter to them. Again, we don't know who them is, so it could be Isabella, it could be Peter Mattei, it could even be James Mattei. We don't actually know. But again, if this is a meeting to declare war, then it will come back to bite Norman in the ass later on. I can guarantee that. And we get a stern look from Norman that's like, oh my god, no, what is Norman's true intention? If Emma and Ray saw him like this, they'll be probably like, Norman, what is going on with you? What has happened to you? And, well, we know what's happened to him. He's, like, being experimented on, so he's probably mighty pissed off at the Peter Mattei clan. So, naturally, in his eyes, again, Norman's reasoning is understandable. Like, he's been experimented on, he's seen what the experiments can do, and he wants to end that. But at the same time, I can see Emma's point of view, like, the demons that are actually their own people now. And not all the demons... not all the demons are out to kill humans every single time, 24/7. They're just living their own lives normally, happily, jokingly. It's sort of like pretty much with like humans and animals. Like not every human is going out all the time like killing animals just for the sake of their carcasses. Everybody has their own lives. We can live off other food, but the fact that these demons need us to survive themselves if they don't want to regress, that's kind of like a bigger deal. And it's kind of like drawing the greyish of this world. Like, not all the humans are good and not all the demons are good, but at the same time, not all the demons are bad and not all the humans are bad. As we've seen with Songju and Musica, there are good demons that you can actually listen to and understand. And even with Lewis, yes, Lewis was evil, he was a psycho, but at least you could understand it. You could have a conversation with him and talk to him, and he wasn't straight up out to kill you right away like that. He actually gave you a fair chance to survive, and even respected you as an opponent. And he actually respected the humans as opponents. He didn't actually say like they were cattle, they're just worthless. He actually respected them enough to learn their names and actually talk to them and see their understanding and see it from their point of view. Even though at the end of the day he wanted that fight, and he was like, join me in the dance of death. Our fight is no fun if both sides can't put their lives on the line. Again, if he was truly evil, he wouldn't have that mentality. So yeah, he's evil, but at least he has a purpose for being evil. He wants to survive, but he also wants to give them a chance to survive for their lives as well. It's sort of like Jigsaw. Yes, from the Sorcerers. Yes, Jigsaw was evil, but at least he understood humans, and he can actually give them a chance to survive if they were actually willing to put their lives on the line as well. But again, that was just a tangent. Going back to it again. Norman's face here is just kind of like eerie, and I wonder if that's going to play a part later on in the series. After Vincent confirms that he's going to deliver the letter for Norman, we cut outside where we see Emma and Ray and and a couple of the other kids like just doing the washing, and Ray goes on to say, "I wonder what kind of plan Norman has. Didn't want you to say make you curious. I know I am." And again, Ray is the kind of guy that will basically observe a situation, be thinking about it, putting his thoughts together, and then afterwards thinking about like, hang on, this doesn't add up in this regard, and he's conversing with Emma on this regard, and she's going on to agree with him by saying, yeah, showing that again they're not actually they're both not actually 100% in Norman's corner at this point, and there's a few like issues that could be addressed with his plan, and could be brought up to him. But again, they're like, he's the boss of this place, so we have to listen to him. And it's kind of like depressing that they've just been like shoved to the side, Emma and Ray, when they've contributed so much to the group's survival at this point. But the fact that they're thinking like, oh, Norman's here, he's gonna save us, he's winning him over. They've basically been saying up Norman to be a god at this point. Hatter even said that Norman is like a god to them. He's winning him over. He's like a god to us, and the fact that everybody's just gone along with it, I feel like it's kind of like upset Emma and Ray that they're kind of like being shoved to the side in favour of Norman at this point. Emma goes on to say to Ray that this is Norman's place we're talking about. We definitely have nothing to worry about. And again, they don't have nothing to worry about in this actual place itself, where they can actually just be their own people, and just not worry about the demons actually chasing them. Although I feel like that place is going to get destroyed at some point. This place is going to get destroyed at some point, and that will bring Emma and Ray back into that leadership position of surviving outside. Because again, Norman, I don't feel like Norman has really been outside in the world itself. I mean, yeah, he's seen a little bit, but compared to Emma and Ray, he hasn't seen a lot, and he hasn't learned of really the demon culture that they've learned and seen it from that perspective. Rather than see it from the perspective of the demons are evil, we have to exterminate them, rather than seeing like these demons, they've set up these societies, they have their own lives, and not every one of them is going out and hunting humans. Even though they're eating human meat, they're not going out and hunting them. Again, it's kind of the same thing with humans. Like, yes, there are humans that are hunters, but there are also humans like me, like just a regular person who's just trying to live his life, and not really going out and killing everything. Even though I am eating meat, I'm not actually going out and killing it myself. But again, that's like just like the moral grey area of this world. And again, Emma brings it up for their world as well, the moral grey area. Before going on to say that she actually says, and also Norman said a future where we don't lose anybody. Before Ray confronts her on that mindset and goes, "But are you glad?" And Emma's like, "What? What do you mean?" Norman's talking about destroying all of the plantations. And Ray goes on to say, "You oppose this after all, don't you, Emma?" Again, Ray can see like what Emma is actually thinking, and again, that just goes back to that fact that at this point, Ray has known Emma longer than Norman has known Emma, because they were separated for 2 years, and it was Ray and Emma on their own. So Ray can see the true feelings of Emma, and again, he saw this in the last chance where he wasn't really saying anything. He was just kind of like off to the side by himself, just thinking about Emma obviously has a problem with this, so I need to confront her about this at the end of all of this. He actually saw that in Emma, and now he's actually confronting her on this notion that she doesn't really want to go around destroying the plantations and wiping out the demons. Emma tries to push her off by saying, what? There's no way I could oppose it. More than anything, we won't have to keep running away. You said it too, Ray. And she flashes back saying, if there really is a strategy to eliminate all the demons, that would be the most reliable option. And Ray goes on to say, yes, he did say that, but that future isn't the future you're looking for, isn't it? So again, Ray at this point believes more in Emma's cause than he does in Norman, and again that's probably going back to the fact that they've been together for so much longer, and Emma's gotten them out of so many situations, and the fact that she's not having her moment brought forward, and her obvious discomfort about it, like she's just been kind of like pushing the situation. She's just kind of like being pushed into that mindset of thinking like, yeah, this is the greatest idea. This could not go any better. But again, Ray is seeing that that's not Emma's style, and again, Emma is not the kind of character to like really hold back on anything. Really, if she has a problem with things, she will actually confront it head on, and she will see that the situation as it is right now. As it is right now, or as it is with other things, it's not her style to actually be thinking like, okay, yes, I'm just gonna go along with everything. No, if she has a problem, she will actually confront it and feel like, no, this is wrong. I don't agree with this, and she'll actually explain her reasonings as to why she agrees with this. But the fact that she has just gone along with this, Ray actually sees that as like, no, this isn't like you, Emma. What is going on with you? Tell me the actual truth. Emma goes on to say that, yeah, I'm a bit weird. Norman's kindness and honesty, I can understand how everyone could be so delighted. Again, showing that Emma, despite what she actually thinks, she understands the feelings of everyone else, and she kind of like doesn't want to disappoint them and make her feel like she's being selfish while not thinking about their feelings. And this chapter really is an eye-opener for Emma's character and her moral complexities, and what she's actually going to have to deal with eventually, and the kind of issues that it's actually being brought up with her character. She goes on to say, but you know, I don't want to kill the demons, and she goes on to explain that, isn't that strange? Even though everyone is so happy, and although that would be happiness, I also want the demons to be happy. Again, Emma sees them at this point as an established race, and they have their own feelings, and they have their own families and friends and colleagues that they work with each other. Because she's seen that with Lewis as well. She saw that with Lewis. She was like, if you don't kill me, I don't kill you, and your colleagues are gone, so you don't have to do any more killing. She saw Lewis as an actual person, and and again, I think Musica and Songju really opened her eyes to the possibility of maybe demons and humans can actually live together I wouldn't say harmony, but at least compromise with each other without actually going around and killing every single human and creature. Like, she wants every human to be happy, but she wants every demon to be happy. And again, that's the complexity of Emma's character. Like, she wants everything to be a world where there shouldn't be any reason to kill anyone. And she does raise perfectly valid points here. She's like, this isn't just about ourselves. I was all too eager to think that. Even so, I dragged everyone into more and more dangerous situations, wishing that I would be able to make choices that I could be proud of. But again, she goes on to say that it disgusts me. Like, she can't make a decision. She can't at this point, she's unable to make a reasonable decision, because she's at that moral compass of what should she do. She sees that the demons as an established race, but at the same time, she's got her family to worry about whether the demons are actually going to kill her. And again, that just adds to the complexity and the greyness of this world. Like, Emma is not this perfect protagonist. Like, she has faults, and she has decisions, and she has to live with them, and the consequences of those decisions. And by not killing the demons, it puts her family at risk. But at the same time, she doesn't want to have that stain on their lives that they've taken another life of a creature with personality and happiness. Even though they have done that, she doesn't want to see a world where they're just like drenched in blood and war, because that's just going to lead to more depression. But again, it's that moral dilemma that she's actually facing. What should she do? What's the right thing to do? And she goes on to say, I don't want to be eaten, and I absolutely will not let them eat us. The shipmen and the hunting, I hate it all. And that should be stopped. That actually should be hurt. That actually should be stopped. I agree with Emma on that regard, but at the same time, the demons, they have to keep eating humans. That's just in their nature. And she goes on to say, even though they're the enemy, just what is the difference between a demon and I? And again, that's a perfectly valid reason. What's the difference between a demon that's going around hunting and killing your family and your friends? But what's the difference between you going around and hunting and killing that demon for revenge for doing that? Revenge is a poison, and it just leads to more upset. And there's nothing good about revenge in certain situations, especially in situations like this. Even though you may think like, oh, it's morally right, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it is good to get revenge, but at the same time, just going around blindly killing demons for the simple reason of they're just surviving. That's just their way of living. That's just their nature. They have to do this to survive, and we're killing them for that. That's not right. That is wrong. But at the same time, they're doing something that's just as evil, and Emma just doesn't know what to do in this situation. She flashes back to those two demons, that brother and sister demon, at the beginning of the arc when they were in that demon village, and she goes, demons have family and friends too. They think like us, love like us, and live like us, and even though they eat humans, which is something I absolutely despise, demons do it for the same reason as humans. They do it to survive. All they're doing is eating. And we see like a parallel. Sorry. We see like a parallel. We see like a human eating, and we see a demon eating, and they're just living their normal lives. And Emma again has raised perfectly valid points. Like the way Norman's acting at this moment, it just makes me think like he just wants blind war without actually thinking about the consequences of his actions. Again, going back to Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Fire Nation, even though that was the evil, they were the villains of the series. Not every single Fire Nation citizen was out to destroy the world. They just wanted to live their lives. They were just living their lives like normal people. Even though you have a person like Kim Jong Un, who's like this radical dictator in North Korea. Not every North Korean is going around like even though they might have had that put into their minds that the outside world is evil. They're not going out and being like, I'm going to join the military to go and kill those people. Same thing here. It's like the demons. They're just doing it to survive. They're just eating like us to survive themselves, and that's a problem that Emma's facing right now. She doesn't know what to do in this situation. And going on to say, is it okay to eradicate them just because they're the enemy? No matter how much I hate them or scared I am, is there really no other way to eradicate them? Besides, Musica is our friend, and I don't want to destroy Musica's family. And again, like you can make friends with enemies. Like you can make friends with enemies and get to know them and understand them, like Emma did with Musica. And I feel like Emma is going to bring this up to Norman. She has to bring this up to Norman. She has to mention Musica in some way. Like say, like, I made friends with a demon. A demon helps us out with these other demons. They actually fought their own kind to help us escape and put themselves at risk to help us escape. And we got to know them over a week. We got to find out their personalities, find out what they're all about. One of them even taught me hunting, and again we see a flashback of Emma being taught how to hunt by Sungju. And even though Emma knew that it was a necessary skill that she needed to acquire, she felt painful for actually doing that, for actually taking a creature's life herself, in the same manner that the demons took Connie's life with the flower and just just plopping the flower on the creature's heart. But again, Musica has to be brought up at some point to Norman, and seeing like oh, not all demons are evil, and we're just being as bad as them, Norman, and they have to bring this up to Norman. But again, carrying on with the chapter, Ray asks her, if this is how you really feel, why didn't you say anything yesterday? And this is where we get like the reason why Emma was just like, so like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. She's like, I'm not saying anything. I won't argue with their choice, because what everyone wants is a future where the demons are eradicated, and more than anything else, the Seven Worlds could be something that won't work. And again, Emma has actually been thinking about this really well, showing that she has been keeping up with things and being in tune with everything. And again, like I said, before this chapter came out, I honestly thought that Emma was just like being pushed into that position, being pushed into that agreement without actually saying how she truly felt, because she was thinking about everybody else, but it's not going with what she actually feels. And she goes on to explain why the seven rules won't work. She goes on to say, if not eating humans makes it so they can't sustain the figure. If we change the promise again, the demons will deteriorate and they will eventually be the same as eradicating them. And she goes on to say, I wish I had some alternative, but there isn't one. What should I do, Ray? I don't know what to do. And that's where the chapter ends. So really good chapter, and it makes up for why the last chapter was the way it was. Was the way it was, because again, these two chapters like go together hand in hand. We get the chapter where Norman explains his plan, and then we get the chapter where Emma actually shows why she disagrees with it. And again, really valid points that she raised here, in the fact that if they just stop the promise and create a new one, then that'll be the same as eradicating them, because they need, now that it's been explained what they actually are, they need to keep eating humans to survive the demons, otherwise they'll just go back to being morphless creatures. And even though that morally might be the best and most radical, most rational option, Emma sees it from a different way. She sees it as like, no, these creatures, they have a right to survive just as much as us. Like, again, this whole series is about survival, and Emma sees that, and she sees the bigger picture. Like, these demons, they're just like us. They're regular. They can be regular folks. I mean, there are some demons that are evil, but not all of them are actually evil. And again, this is gonna probably be brought up with Norman. Like, the next chapter will probably be them actually going to confront Norman and being like, Norman, we don't agree with this plan. And he might have gone off to meet with whoever them is. It might be Peter, it might be Isabella. We just don't know at this moment in time. So again, we don't know what Norman's true shady nature is, if he's actually gonna disagree with Emma and he's actually just gonna throw out her ideas. And then that's when I feel like the entire group's just gonna get split up. There's gonna be some that go with Emma and some that just stay with Norman. And I feel like Emma's gonna go and find an alternative at some point to the situation without Norman's help, because I feel like at this point they don't actually know who Norman is. They've seen what the demon culture is like and what they're actually truly doing. Like, the demons are just living their lives. I mean, yes, humans are their food, but they're just trying to live their lives. But Norman just sees them as like, they're scum. They need to die. This is kind of like could be applied to, like, if you had a marine in One Piece, like, just sees like the marines just going around killing pirates without actually getting to Norman and feel like, okay, not all pirates are bad. It's kind of the same thing here, where Emma sees like, okay, not all the demons are bad, but Norman actually doesn't see that, and he just sees like, these scum, they need to die. End of story. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? I know this was kind of like a long one, but I had a lot to say about this chapter, and in all honesty, it was a really good chapter, and it was really good to see like Emma's true feelings and what she actually feels, and how she's actually going to come to that decision. And again, she needs help. She needs Ray's help at this point, because I feel like he's in the same boat as her. He's being pushed to the side whilst Norman has just taken the role of leadership, and I feel like he feels just as underused as Emma does, and they're going to step up to the plate at some point, and that's probably going to lead to a real argument between them, and going to lead to them just splitting off from the groups and going their own separate ways. But anyway, guys, what did you think? Let me know. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and this will be Lash and Luke signing off. Later, guys.